This topic is called Let's Talk Interview. I don't work for Microsoft. And in this topic, we will continue to talk about the present simple, but we'll be looking at it in the negative form. Just a reminder, the present simple describes a state of being concerning right now, in this very moment, and it states something that is a fact or that happens routinely on an everyday basis. We'll be looking particularly at it in the negative. Let's check out these examples for the negative present simple that describe a state of being. I am not happy. She is not disappointed. This is not a good interview. We are not convinced by his argument. And to state something that is a fact or that happens routinely, I do not work for Microsoft. She does not have a good resume. They do not want a lot of applicants, and Microsoft does not have a job opening. Let's check out how we form the present simple in the negative form. We form it differently with the verb to be and modal verbs such as can, should, may, might, and would. We'll be looking most specifically at to be. We take the subject, we then add the present form of the verb to be, and then not. I'm sure this is a word that you saw in each of our examples on the previous page. This word not tells us that we are putting something in the negative. And this is the word you will see in every single case when we are putting a verb tense in the negative. Then we add the rest of the sentence. Let's check out these examples. We take the present simple in the affirmative form of the sentence, and then we're going to put it in the negative present simple. So I am happy in the affirmative present simple becomes I plus am. Then we add the word not, happy. And we can shorten it even more by saying I'm not happy. When we have I am not, we most often hear I'm not. Second example, this is an interview. We take this is, then we add the word not, an interview, and it becomes this isn't an interview. Because the combination is not, we can also say it as isn't. We are convinced by his CV becomes we are not convinced by his CV. And we can shorten that also by saying we aren't convinced by his CV. Are not becomes aren't. Don't forget these rules that will help you speak a little bit more fluidly and more rapidly. I am not becomes I'm not. Is not becomes isn't. Are not becomes aren't. Let's check out how we form the negative present simple with all other verbs. We take the subject, we add do or does, depending on what the subject is. So for I, they, we, you, we use do. But for he, she, and it, the third person singular, we use does. Because that's how they conjugate with the verb to do. We then add not, and then the verb that's in question that we are using without the to in front of it. So it's a basic form of the verb. Then we add the rest of the sentence. Let's check out these sentences. I work for Microsoft becomes I. We add do because do is what correlates with I. Not, that tells us that it's in the negative. The verb to work without the to in front of it for Microsoft. And what we get, I do not work for Microsoft becomes I don't work for Microsoft. Because we can shorten do not by don't. They work Saturday becomes they do not work Saturday. And again, do not can be shortened to don't. They don't work Saturday. We take Microsoft has a job opening. It becomes Microsoft does not have a job opening. Remember that Microsoft is an it, and so we conjugate it with does instead of do. And does not becomes doesn't. It's very important to remember these rules that do not becomes don't and does not becomes doesn't. You will most often hear people speaking that way, and you can speak more fluidly in English by using these shortcuts as well. I hope you've enjoyed this section. Let's recap. With the verb to be, it conjugates differently in the negative present simple than other verbs. And here we have a list of the different verbs that we can use without the to in front of it. So we're going to have I don't go. And remember that in the third person singular, he, she, it conjugates with doesn't instead of do like the rest. I hope you've enjoyed this section and stay tuned for our next one, which is 3.4. Let's Talk Interview. I am working at Microsoft. I'll see you there. Bye-bye.